Hello, beautiful vegans. I'm Mariquita, vegan empowerment coach, and I help vegans who are struggling in anger and depression and sadness and just feeling really in a down place move into power and peace and effective activism for our animals, for our planet, and for our health. I work one-on-one with vegans and I have a group coaching program which are really full of like electricity and support. We just started one and I'm super excited about being with this new group of vegans who are taking action, coming together in unity and collaboration to make this world a greater place. So, if you are watching on if you're watching us, please give StreamYard permission to use your name so we'll know who is watching and comment with your questions because we're here to answer them. We've got a great expert today. Author of The Vegan Brain is Kate Kunkel. So welcome, Kate.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be sharing all the great things a vegan lifestyle can do for your brain.
Well, thank you. I am very interested in hearing more about this. I mean, I'm always wondering because of a lot of times I don't think about the connection between the food and my finger, or I mean, I'm now more aware, right? Or the food that I eat, and what, like on a body part that's really far away from my stomach or something, and I hear people saying that it's not an effect of what I'm eating, but however, everything that we're eating is affecting every part of us, and so how um, how we make those connections. I'm really excited to learn more about what the food choices we make, how they affect our thinking, our ability, I mean, and later on in life with dementia and Alzheimer's, and what we can do about this. These are chronic issues that we need to think about, and we can stop and we can prevent these. So I'm excited to hear your wisdom, Kate. And first, I'd like to hear about how this whole process started. How did you,
Me?
what did you,
Oh.
yeah, with veganism, how did it start?
Veganism started for me in 1989. So it was a long time ago because of an article from PETA about a downed cow. And that just struck my heart so strongly. Unfortunately, I was doing it all wrong. I didn't know about the gut. I didn't know about how things affect everything, how your food. So I just stopped eating all animal products, just like that. But in doing so, I didn't know what else to eat. Like I really didn't know what to eat. And I was, in 1989, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have all that stuff. So I made really poor food choices because I didn't know better. And so I got really sick. And then my husband at the time said, "You've got to start eating, blah, blah, blah." So I did. And I veered away from this lifestyle. But then in 2008, I was affected by rheumatoid arthritis. And it was at the same time that my mom had cancer and was diagnosed with dementia. So it was a wake-up call. We have to figure out a better way to live. So I started with vegetarianism, and then as soon as I got here and I saw so much going on with animals and everything, I went like totally vegan. And it was the best choice I ever made because not only did my brain feel better, all the pain, all the swelling, everything from the rheumatoid arthritis went. I haven't had any symptoms in years. And so that was sort of the beginning of it. And then of course my passion for the animals never stopped. I wasn't smart or dedicated enough, I guess, to make the changes in my own body. And so that's how the vegan brain came about, because I knew what I had gone through and I wanted to help other people who were going through the same thing to improve their brains so they didn't travel the path that my poor mother did. It was this big circle of events and situations that brought me to this place.
Well, that's usually the way it is. Our journeys are, the journey is never linear, right? And we don't know that everyone's journey is different. So everyone's story is powerful. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. And and it's also good to remember that people come to a different way of eating because maybe some for health, some for the animals, some for the planet. And so just being knowledgeable about that is so important. So,
Like my first foray into veganism, it was because of the animals. It was purely for the animals. And I didn't think about me until me broke down, until I broke down. So, and I think that's important for people who do have such a passion for the animals, like we all do, that we have to remember that we can't do our best for them or for ourselves if we don't do this right in terms of our own health. And that's, where the nutritional information, all of those things come into play, because you can do it for the animals 100%. But if you become a junk food vegan, which a lot of people are because it's easy, you can go and get a burger at Wendy's or whatever that is vegan, but that's not whole food, and that's not going to sustain you in a healthy way for a long time.
right. Yeah. The processed foods are not, well, they're not very healing, and they're the opposite of healing. I mean, just like, well, I mean, there's so much different from processed foods and living foods, right? The living foods, I mean, the colorful foods, like I'm looking over and seeing tomatoes and bananas, and I love, well, I love beets, and I love, radishes and chickpeas. And when I think about those, I just feel very invigorated. And compared to, let's just say, if I was going to eat those compared to like an Impossible Burger, which is vegan, yeah, I mean, the difference in the way my body feels and responds is huge. So, nourishment.
And your brain, it's not just your body. Your brain reacts differently because when you've got those whole foods, you're nurturing so many things. You're nurturing your gut, number one. You're helping your gut build a healthy microbiome. So that's really important for brain health. So then when you've done that, when you've nurtured your gut, when you've empowered every cell in your body, that means your brain has more power too. It means that not only, and then because it's got more power, it has more cognitive reserve, meaning if anything else attacks you, you have the power with your brain cognitive reserve to fight off any potentials for dementia. But it also means then that your brain is giving you the ability to make better choices all the way around. So by starting with little choices, like deciding to have a whole foods plate of fresh vegetables and fruits and beans, as opposed to an Impossible Burger, that one little choice then can help your brain help you make better choices all the time. That one little choice can make a big difference every day. One little choice.
Well, that's very interesting because we think about, well, I think about my nephews in school, and then they're eating, I mean, well, they're not vegan or whole food plant based, so we're going to just pretty much the standard American diet, the SAD.
Diet. It's
Right.
sad.
It's very sad, yeah. And so no wonder. I mean, they're very lethargic, right? They're very. I mean, and yeah, I mean, they're not getting the nourishment that they need, and it's just like, what would you say to
And
that?
young brains are so susceptible, right? That's where we set up our ability to make choices throughout our lives, right? That's set at the beginning. So if they're not getting the nutrition for their cells to develop properly, their brain cells, their neurotransmitters to fire properly, then how on earth are they going to make better choices as they get older? Not only does it lead to things like diabetes, childhood diabetes, it was never heard of type 2 diabetes in children. Now it's rampant. So we've got all of that, and that's a risk factor for dementia. It also makes you more prone to things like depression. And they call it we call it in the health food space, in the health space, the SAD diet makes you sad because it affects your mental health. If your mental health isn't good, if you suffer from depression or anxiety or PTSD or ADD, those are all connected to the gut. So let's look at that first and see where the children can be healthier physically and mentally.
Yeah, and people don't think about that. I know I don't think about it. So, yeah, this is really great information that you're giving us. And so how, if we're not getting that and our brains are foggy like that, I mean, how long? And you said just one meal makes a difference, you know.
Yeah.
Can,
Well, every day making that one choice. So in the morning, you have a choice between a sugary cereal or a smoothie made with fresh fruits and spinach or kale, or I just bought some maca root powder. Maca is grown here. It's actually a cruciferous vegetable, but we use the root, and it's ground into powder. We put it in a smoothie with some fresh pineapple and some frozen bananas and some pineapple water. And there we are. That's a really healthy choice. Gives you energy, gives you a little bit of protein, and you can put protein in there too. But that little choice for breakfast, think of what that does for your brain in the morning when we need it the most. At lunch, instead of French fries, have an apple. Not only are you giving your gut microbiome something to work with, you're eliminating the usually soybean or some other terrible vegetable oil that the fries have been cooked in, and you're not inspiring, a starch problem. With you're getting sugars in the fruit, in the apple, but it's not going to affect you the same way that white potatoes fried in oil are going to do.
well, tell me about the microbiome, because I know a little bit about it. I'm learning more, but I'd love to know. I mean, how is that connected to your brain?
Directly through the vagus nerve, but it's also through all of the other organs. So our microbiome is where we actually have more bacterial DNA in us than we do human DNA. Those bacteria, fungus, molds, all kinds of living things are living in our gut. What most people who are not eating a lot of plants and who are not paying attention to this don't realize is that when you don't feed the gut properly, when you don't eat the right foods, you have a very limited, especially if your diet's limited, you have a very few number of these bacteria that create the health of our gut. And they're not the right kind of bacteria. So what we do with a whole foods, plant-based, natural diet is by feeding the healthy bacteria, and you're starving those things that are not good for us, that don't inspire good health. And when we do that, all those messages that those bacteria are sending end up going through the whole body, right? The neurotransmitters start in the gut. That's where we get where things fire. So when we make that healthy and solid, then those neurotransmitters go up through the body into the brain and help our neurotransmitters, our neurons, fire and get the information we need back and forth, which also means it's going down the vagus nerve, it's going back down and sending healing information, it's sending good choices out to the whole body. So that's how the gut works in. You have to give the gut the good microbiome, the good bacteria first. So if you don't have it, first you have to set up the environment in the gut to help healthy bacteria live. So that's where we have things like prebiotics, which are the green leafy vegetables, the kale, the spinach, the artichoke heart, that sort of thing. Jerusalem artichokes, those are what's called prebiotics, and they feed the probiotics, which are the bacteria that are in our gut. If we don't have those, then we can take supplements. It's iffy if some supplements work because of packaging and loss and everything. But great probiotics are sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir water, kombucha tea, all of those things, those fermented foods set it up then. So we set the environment by feeding our gut with really good food and then give it the bacteria. And then those bacteria kick in and they grow and multiply and we get more healthy, a healthier range of bacteria. And that just sets everything up for success.
Well, that's very interesting what you're telling me, because one of my friends recently had to take some antibiotics. And so after the round of his antibiotics, his stomach was really messed up and he didn't know what to do. And so I was Googling that, the sauerkraut and everything you said, kimchi, and then sourdough bread, I think it said,
Yep.
but yeah, and then the miso soup. So to get that
Yeah.
back into shape. But he was miserable from those antibiotics, where his stomach was messed up for like 2 weeks. So I mean, it
Yeah.
also talks about the power of antibiotics, and well, just the scary fact that, I mean, I have a lot of friends are having to take high doses of antibiotics, and this is, the result of us becoming immune to them, with that they're in the meat that people eat. And I mean, that's just, it's really sad, and we're not aware of. There's a lot to be aware of that we can learn more about, and how to
Yeah.
help.
Absolutely. And like I make my own plant-based yogurt. I make my own coconut yogurt because coconuts are so like everywhere here. I'm in Ecuador, for those who don't know. And so I make my own coconut yogurt. I just made, I'm going to try it tonight, a vegan brie with miso. It uses miso as part of the ingredients, and then the coconut milk. So there are many things that you can do to inspire this, and it doesn't have to, like, you don't need a lot. Like, seriously, a couple of forks full of sauerkraut or kimchi every day helps. A couple of spoonsful of plant-based yogurt with live culture, and you can make it yourself or you can buy it. Those things really help you, and it's amazing the difference. It's just amazing. And a lot of people suffer from constipation because they don't get enough fiber. Well, now if you're giving your gut the prebiotics to feed those bacteria, and you've got those nice bacteria in there, and a problem, right?
Yes, you're right. You're right. And how do you make the coconut yogurt? I wanted to ask you that.
Oh, yeah. So I buy the coconuts and the coconut water, and I make a really thick cream out of it. And then I put it, it's very easy. I actually, the recipe is in the Vegan Brain, but you can just use a crock pot. You let it sit for a couple of hours in a low crock pot, and then you turn the crock pot off for 2 hours. And then you put your starter in. So I have starter, and you can also use probiotic capsules for the starter. And then you mix it up, wrap it up in a towel, put it in an oven that's off. You just don't want breezes to get around it. Sit it there 10 hours later, you've got yogurt. It's that easy.
That's amazing. I remember looking at the Instant Pot yogurt one time, and it looked very easy. But yeah, and then I mean, I need to do it. I need to just get on
So
the ball.
easy. Yeah, I don't know if I did a video on it, but it's certainly in the book. The recipe's in the book, and it's very easy. It really is an easy recipe. It's just a matter of getting the raw product. Like I don't do a lot of soy, but if I do soy, it's like with miso or that sort of thing. But you can certainly do it with soy milk. You can do it with coconut. You can do it, like, there's so many ways to do it. The almond didn't work out so well. It was a little bit runny, but you can still use it. It still has the probiotics in it, right?
Yeah, and then you could use it maybe as a, like, just over fruit or something if you wanted it like that. That would be nice too. Yeah,
Absolutely. Mhm.
yeah, because it's hard to find yogurt. I mean, well, I guess it's not that hard. I just don't. I mean, I would feel better about making it myself. You know.
Yeah, yeah, because you don't know what else is in there, right? I mean, you have to really watch it because a lot of them, even the plant-based yogurts, have a lot of sugar in it. You don't want sugar in it. That's
Right.
that's the first thing I'd like to tell everybody. Stop the sugar. Like 100% stop it. It's the first thing when I have a group coaching program, and the first thing we do is stop the sugar, because nothing else that we do for the brain, whether it's going vegan or whether it's exercising, if you're contaminating your body with refined sugars, it's going to be really hard to get any kind of results.
Wow. Well, that's very powerful. Say that again, please.
If you are eating refined sugar, whether you are eating a vegan diet, a whole foods vegan diet, and exercising and learning new things, all of those things are really, really not going to work so well if you are on sugar. There's no reason for any human being to eat sugar. Like, I'm talking refined sugar. We want fructose, right, in our fruits and stuff. We need that. We need a certain amount of sugar. And our brains originally, the first line of nutrition for our brains is the sugars that we get. But then If you don't have the right sugars, your brain just keeps using those, and then the leftovers turn into fat. Like, it's a whole big mess. So cut out the sugar. Just stop.
All right. I don't eat hardly. I don't hardly eat any sugar like that. Definitely, I've really been working hard on eating just the whole foods all the time, and it's wonderful. I didn't ever. I mean, well, that's a journey too. If you had asked me about this, years ago, I said, no way am I going to do that. But it's exciting again to do it and to really support the environment.
Oh,
By
yeah,
the
because a lot of sugar production is not particularly good for the environment, right? So you can get the sugars you need from beets. You said you like beets. There's sugar in beets. There's sugar in apples. There's sugars in bananas. Sugar in dates. Well, I use dates for sweetening anything. If I want to sweeten something, it's got dates in it. So, or frozen bananas. If I bake, I don't use sugar. I freeze bananas. Of course, we can get 20 of them for $1 here, so like it's really inexpensive. I've got bananas everywhere, but I freeze them and then I thaw them out and grind them up, and I use that for the sweetener. And we've got the nutrition from the bananas and no sugar.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I've made those little oatmeal balls with bananas instead to sweeten. Oh my goodness. If something happens and I die, just keep going, Kate. I'll come back. This internet is so bad lately. I don't know why. But yeah, if I fall off, just keep going. Um, but yeah, I'm using the dates. I made something with dates the other day and nobody could tell with coconut.
Thing happened. I think we froze up.
I'm here. Okay.
Oh, there.
All right. Here we go. But you know what? Experimenting with new foods and the dates and all the new ways to cook is exciting. It really
Oh,
is.
it is. And the spices that we use as we expand our horizons for food. And this is a big part of what I talk about. People say, what do you eat? Well, I eat anything that doesn't have a face or doesn't have a mother, number one. And that leaves a world of amazing things to eat. And the spices. My husband has said, he never would have thought there could be so many flavors in the world as we have since we've gone vegan, since I've gone vegan. It's like I cook with different spices, garam masala and curries and, so many things, miso, which I wouldn't have used before. It's salty, yes, but it's just need a little bit, But it's an amazing way to incorporate because almost all spices have amazing benefits for the brain. Think of turmeric. People are like, they all talk about turmeric now. You have to mix with black pepper and you have to have the fats with it to make it really work. But that's one spice and it helps with inflammation. It's so powerful, but they're all like that. Almost all spices. Saffron is an amazing, it's like ashwagandha, keeps you calmer and puts you in a better mental state. So when we add these wonderful flavors with spices, and even if it's an ordinary vegetable like cauliflower or broccoli, when you spice it up, you put it in a creamy sauce made with almond milk and a bunch of spices and avocado. I mean, it's an amazing meal, and it's not boring because a lot of people don't eat certain vegetables because they say they're boring, like Brussels sprouts, or people just don't like them, right? So, but we have an air fryer. I use the air fryer all the time. I marinate the Brussels sprouts in balsamic vinegar and pure virgin olive oil and a bunch of spices. I put nutritional yeast. I put them in the air fryer. They're fantastic because I was never really a fan of Brussels sprouts before, but I eat them a lot now. So, just by getting a little bit more creative, adding spices, that's why I also put the recipes in the back of the Vegan Brain, because I wanted people to see how easy it is to add these wonderful flavors and make your gut healthier and keep your brain cells firing properly.
Yeah, and I love Brussels sprouts, and I never thought about marinating them. And since I stopped really cooking with oil, they were always so dry, and so that's a good tip to use.
Yeah, balsamic vinegar, a little bit of lemon juice. There are so many things you can do to make them interesting and delicious. And that black Himalayan salt on there, ooh, really good.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. Definitely, and everyone needs to get the vegan brain and check out the recipes. And so, is that is available on Amazon, or where is it?
Everywhere on Amazon, all countries, yeah. Wherever Amazon is, the vegan brain is there. And it's the second edition includes the recipes. The first edition was just about being vegan. But the second edition, I combined two books together so that people could have it all together. Because after I did it, people started asking me, I thought, okay, we're going to have to put it together. So it's the second edition of the vegan brain.
Wonderful. Well, let me ask you this. So, what about people that, I mean, if you've got maybe an elderly family member that's developing dementia, I mean, is there any way to really help them? I mean, how much of a change is this going to make?
Well, like anything else, when it comes to reversing a disease, it's not a one-stop shop, right? The vegan lifestyle, but we have to go keto with vegan, meaning we have to get the brain working on burning fats rather than sugar. So we need to eliminate the things that cause our bodies to turn them into sugar. So like white starches, potatoes, that sort of thing. So we want to go more like keto, but vegan. So that's one thing to get them, and we also have to help them with their sleep. There's something called autophagy. You may have heard of it. It's when we go to sleep, our brains clear out all of the detritus of the day. And it works much more effectively if you have like a 12-hour fast between meals, like from the night before to the next day. If you have at least 12 hours, in some cases you need 14, but have that space so that when you're sleeping, your brain has a chance to clear out all the detritus and your body has a chance to burn, get rid of all the sugar burning and burn the protein, the fat. So that's autophagy. It cleans up the dead brain cells. So we have to do that with sleep hygiene. Exercise is hugely important. You know, I can't say enough about, I don't even know whether it's less important or if it's exactly the same importance as the food we eat. We cannot have a healthy body and brain if we don't exercise. Really important. So there's that. So if we do have a loved one who's going a little bit down that, or we start feeling that our memories are going, or we get a little bit of brain fog, we need to do this all at once. You know, I mean, it's not going to happen all at once, but you do it little in incremental steps. But the sooner you get started, even if you're only suffering memory lapses like losing your keys all the time, or putting your glasses down and forgetting where they are, or having trouble navigating. Now, having trouble navigating is a very typical first symptom of some cognitive decline. So those sorts of things, exercise, do the vegan keto, and I have information about that. Vegan keto, get rid of all the sugar, and exercise. Learn new things. Get your loved one, if you have a loved one with that problem, engage them in new things, something where they're learning. And if at all possible, get them involved in making music, even if it's just drumming, something like that. All of those things together, Dr. Dale Bredesen, under whom I've studied, has shown in many, many, many cases, and his proteges who are doctors and coaches and practitioners of all kinds have shown that we can reverse cognitive decline. We can reverse Alzheimer's. You are not stuck with the brain you have. You can reverse this stuff. You have to do all the steps. Otherwise, you know, and you need to have the right nutrition. That's the other thing. But we can do it. And a vegan keto diet is a key component.
So, when you say vegan keto, tell us exactly what that is.
Well, that means we don't have breads, we don't have pastas, so we're not having the sugar. We don't have the brain burning the sugar. We have the brain burning the fats. So it means we eat things like avocado. We do extra virgin, good sourced, properly sourced olive oil, coconuts. All of those things that give us the healthy fats are important because the brain uses fat next. So we eliminate the sugar. We have the brain using the fat as the body using the fat as energy, and the brain is using it makes it much, it's just amazing the difference. You lose weight, which is important also. You can't be particularly brain healthy if you are obese. And there are a lot of people in the world who are obese thanks to the sugar, thanks to carbohydrates, highly processed carbohydrate dense diet. So we cut out mostly the carbohydrates. So whatever we do other than that, with the vegan food, I mean, look, we've got vegetables, we've got like the possibilities are endless.
Right. And so about obesity in the brain, how does that affect the brain? If we're very overweight.
Yeah, the bigger the waist, the smaller the brain. And that's not an insult. That's not fat shaming. That's a fact. We lose gray matter. The bigger the waistline, the smaller the brain. We lose gray and white matter. So, and I think that has to do partly with, I'm not sure if they understand it completely, but from my understanding, it means that the nutrition that should be going to the brain is interrupted by all of the complex processes that go on when we are obese, because often that also means diabetic, right? And diabetes is a huge risk factor for Alzheimer's. And in fact, they call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes because it's so intimately involved. So the big thing is that obesity generally leads to some form of diabetes. They call it diabesity because it just has so many effects. It's hard on the organs. It's hard on everything. How can you possibly function if you're carrying around everything near your heart? Your digestive organs don't work properly. Your gut is not working properly. So it all affects how your brain works.
Yeah, and then the body is very, like you're saying, it sounds like the body is very resilient in bouncing back as long as you're giving it the right nutrients. That our bodies want to help us, and I think I do remember listening to it was Daniel Amen, right? That's right. Right.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Dr. Amen. Mm-hmm.
Yes, talking about that yes, like the heavier we are, the way it affects, yes, our mental status, or however you want to say it, but yes, it affects it.
Absolutely. And for a lot of people, there's a degree of self-shame, self-guilt, all of that sort of stuff that goes with it as well. And so then you get into that big cycle of shame and guilt and poor choices that lead to more shame and guilt that leads to more poor choices. It doesn't stop just by being heavy, because it affects your mental health as well, right?
Yeah, and then when we think about the foods that are the standard American diet foods, I mean, they're so addictive, and that's playing on the brain too.
Well, yeah, you can't make good choices with your food if your brain isn't healthy. And if you're already not making good choices, your brain is going to be unhealthy. So there's that big circle again, right? You can't avoid it. If you are eating the standard American diet, something's going to go wrong. You're going to have health issues like heart issues, blood pressure. Heart disease is still the #1 killer, right, in North America, I think in the world. Heart disease, you're going to have diabetes, you're going to have all of these things eating the standard American diet. Plus, who knows what's going on? You age faster. Everything ages faster, including your brain, if you're eating that diet of processed carbohydrate rich foods that are also cooked in oils that are completely unhealthy, soybean oil and other vegetable oils, corn oil, rapeseed oil, which is also known as canola, which was originally designed as a lubricant, not for human consumption. But anyway, so those are the things that people have to watch out for. And unfortunately, the fast food is all of those things. It's cooked like that. And also it's cheaper. So people who are on limited budgets, they are really in a conundrum, especially in North America, where the prices are going through the roof on fresh produce and so forth, especially in the winter, right? So it's really difficult for people to make the good choices when they're on a limited budget as well. So that's when frozen foods, even though, we like to have fresh vegetables and so forth, flash frozen fruits and vegetables are better for you than something that's been trucked 3,000 miles in, and they're picked not ripe, so they don't ever get all the nutrients in them. It's better to get flash frozen fruits and vegetables that were picked up, ripe and frozen at the time, and eat them later. That's better than eating some of this produce that's in the grocery stores now in North America.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, a lot of times I do buy the frozen, and now I'm really going to do that. And I mean, more carefully, because you just don't know. We're so spoiled in the fact that we're having food. I mean, that we get foods that wouldn't be growing during all times of the year, right? We're so used to that, and
Yeah. And locally sourced. I mean, I am so blessed to be here in Ecuador, where every day the market of fresh produce from the area. So I'm very blessed for that, and I recognize that not everybody has those options. But eating a banana, so I can give you a really good example. Bananas. Here, they are not sprayed with all of the things that they're sprayed with for the ones that are going on export. Here, they pick the bananas green. The ones for export are picked green. They're sprayed with something to stop them from ripening too fast. They are shipped 5,000, 3,000 kilometers, however far it is. They end up in the new place, and then they're sprayed again so that they'll start ripening. So what we get is, I mean, it's going to have pesticides. We can get organic bananas here, but they still have a degree of pesticides. But the bottom line is we don't have all that other stuff going on. So when you're buying produce that has been picked so far away, it's been treated in some way so that it gets to you relatively intact. Because 5,000 kilometers over a couple of weeks sometimes, it's going to impact how many nutrients are there and what is put on that produce to get it to you. So that's why I firmly believe it's better to buy produce that comes from your continent that may have been picked, that's been picked fresh and frozen.
wow, that's a lot to think about. And you're right. A lot of times I think, how could this even get over here? I mean, so quickly, and it's looking like this. And then you look at the apples, of course, with the wax all over them. And I thought, who would even start to do that? I mean,
Yeah.
it's really sad. It's really sad, and it's scary. I think about it a lot, the pesticides and everything. And it's sad for people that, when we can't afford to buy organic. And is it even organic sometimes, I wonder?
Well, and here's the bottom line. Glyphosate is the great poison of the 20th and 21st centuries. It has impacted everywhere. I mean, they have it here too as well in Ecuador. But you may have purchased your produce that is organic, but the water that falls on it in the form of rain has been scooped up from ponds or lakes that are filled with the runoff of glyphosate and every other chemical known to man. That doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear. Glyphosate follows the path. It's in the soil. So it's in the water, so that and so many other things, even if you're doing your best, and I highly recommend, of course, organic as much as possible. At least it's not sprayed directly on your produce, right? That's a start. But the bottom line is the breast milk of mothers has been analyzed, and it's full of toxins and microplastics and so there are a lot of issues that we can't deal with even just by being vegan. There are so many problems, I don't even know where to begin. Like, how do you begin? It gets so frustrating because you can't even address all of the issues. So organic does help, but you're right. Is it really organic? And there are a lot of good farmers out there who cannot afford the organic certification. Good Lord, it's expensive. It's crazy to try and get it. So that's another thing. You get to know your local farmers. How do they grow their produce? If they are, not using pesticides, they can say that, not grown with pesticides or artificial fertilizers or whatever, but they can't afford to get, and why should they have to get that certification? Because it doesn't really mean all that much when the world is so polluted.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's something to think about. And all we can do is our best, we just do our best.
Exactly. I tell my brain health clients all the time, everything you do is something, and everything you do is better than nothing. That's all you can do.
Yes, very true. Well, I see Kishana is here with us. Thanks for watching. And she says, I'm glad I came on to listen. I know this is very important. We've also got JJ from Vegan Knowledge is here, and
Hi, Lee.
Susan. Susan is saying hello to JJ. Susan. She and JJ are grassroots ambassadors.
Huh?
Grassroots, just like you're a grassroots ambassador, also. Yeah, grassroots whole food plant based ambassador from We Did It.
Yeah.
So yes, we're all really working hard to get the word out. And then let's talk about that for a minute. How do you get the word out to to your family and friends, and what are how is that going for you? I mean, most people that are watching, we're like,
Yes, that's about it. So I know I've turned a lot of people off of my business because I'm so vocal. If you go to my Facebook page, some people are watching on my Facebook page, you can see my personal page. You can see that there's a lot of stuff about animal welfare there. But and I can't help it. It is who I am. I help animal rescues. That's who I am. It will turn some people off, but you know what? They're not my people anyway. I have to recognize that they're not my people. Not that I wouldn't help them, but they're not going to go the way it needs to go to really make this work. So number one, I'm very vocal about it. Number two, every chance I get, I introduce people to delicious vegan cooking. I love to cook. It's my favorite thing to do. I'm German. We feed people. That's what we do. So I invite people over all the time. At New Year, I had 18 people here, and I made vegan manicotti with homemade organic, and it really is organic because there's nothing out here where I am, nothing sprayed or anything. Tomato sauce made from my own tomatoes, all of those things. And I love to see people's reactions when they taste it and they see how amazing true 100% vegan whole foods can taste. So that's one thing that I do that all the time. In my workshops and my coaching, it all comes to please think about, because it's not just what you put in your body, it's what you put in your spirit. Like how your spirit is fed. It's not just your body. Think of the fear, the pain, the terror, that these poor animals go through for people to eat meat, drink milk, or eat eggs. All of those things, that energy doesn't go away. Energy never stops, right? It just changes forms. So if something is terrified, in pain, tortured, then that energy is going to go in the product from whatever that poor being has gone through. Don't tell me, nobody can tell me, nobody can convince me that doesn't go into the body of the person who's ingesting it. So what does that do to you spiritually? We have to think, and I'm not a religious person, but I do believe that we are connected to everything on the planet. So, well, how does that affect us? And I talk about that a lot with people. I try to say, think about the energy, because a lot of people, even, like new age people, they talk about the energy, but then they'll go and have a hamburger. And I'm like, I don't understand how you cannot think that that doesn't affect you spiritually, because it's energy, and that energy is going to get to you. So I do approach my friends in the spiritual world the same way. Think about it nourishing you that way. It's not just your physical body, it's your spirit, it's your mind, it's everything. So I try to cover all the 4 pillars of health: mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. Those are the 4 pillars of a good brain, the 4 pillars of good health. And so when we think about all those things, as we're trying to help people understand how important it is to be compassionate, to be kind, those are the things I hit, because yes, it matters to some people that the animals are suffering, but most people ask, what about me? This is about me. This isn't about anybody or anything else. This is about me. So I try to hit all those points.
well, what about let's just say, if are your mom and dad still alive, or how did they
My
ever
dad's still alive. Yeah, Mom died with dementia.
Yes. And so what about your father? Is he a whole food plant-based eater?
Oh, heavens, no. My father lives, firstly, 5,000 kilometers away. But when I go, and I'm going in May, he will eat a whole foods plant-based diet because I'm cooking for him. But he doesn't cook, you know. Now my sister is also vegan, so but she doesn't cook. So yeah, it's an interesting situation. But when I'm there, my dad eats whole food plant-based.
Yes, and that's the
Because
way my dad was too. When he came, to visit, he's not no longer with us, but yeah, he would eat, and sometimes he would say, "Bring me a burger, but don't bring me a," So then I would have to go get the Impossible, but at least that was better than an animal
yeah,
diet. So, yeah,
yeah. Yeah, we have
right,
to, we do what we can, right?
right.
Now it's really hard for me to stop my dad from eating eggs because that's what he knows. So now the good thing is that at least the eggs that he buys are not from a factory farm. They're from a little farmer that he knows. So I could deal with it. I don't get quite so upset. But I'm not going to stop him from that. And when I'm home for 2 or 3 weeks a year, there's not a whole lot I can do to change him. But he does do more exercising. He does all those things because he had a couple of strokes. So he knows the importance of looking after your brain. So he actually read my first book. He actually read Don't Let the Memories Fade. I was so shocked that he actually read the whole thing. So he gets it. He just doesn't. He's not going to do it. He's also, he's with strokes. He has a little bit of cognitive decline. Although I can honestly say he's doing things so well thanks to my sister, who's making sure he gets supplements and so forth. He hasn't lost as much cognition as I was worried about. So that's a good thing. That's another population that can benefit from doing this. The people who are recovering from strokes. Because the whole neurotransmitter thing gets into play then. So we try to help them get more nutrition to improve the reconstruction, I guess you could say it, of the brain.
Wow. Yeah, that's very important. And let me answer. Susan's asking, what area of Ecuador are you in?
I'm in Salinas, which is about midway down. I'm right on the coast. I'm on the Salinas Peninsula. I have a little retreat center here called Casas Pacificos.
Oh, wow. Well, we need to get down there and visit you.
You'll go to the mercado and you'll think you died and went to heaven. There's so much good food there.
That's funny. So, well, down there in Ecuador, how do they feel about this kind of diet that you're promoting?
Yeah, it's really hard. Where I am, I'm on the coast, so it's seafood. And when I
Oh,
explain to them I don't eat meat or anything, they say, "But you eat fish, right?" No, you don't understand. That means no fish too. So it's a culture, very much a cultural thing here on the coast. When I went to Cuenca, which is in the mountains, they have a lot more vegans there. Many, many more people concerned about the environment and many more people concerned about the animals. And so we have a huge, not huge, but a much larger population of people who get it as far as the vegan lifestyle. Here on the coast, also, it's very poor. There's a lot of poverty here. And every day when I go to the beach, I see people out with their nets catching fish because that's the only way they're going to eat today. And I understand that. I'm not judging at all. You do what you have to do. So yeah, it's different.
yeah, I know. And that's very important what you're saying is, well, not judging, and that people, that they don't have another choice. And that's why it's so sad. It's so sad when you see people when they're receiving like box foods or box lunches and everything. If they don't have a source of food, and then they go pick up food, and then it's this canned ravioli and stuff like this, and macaroni and
Yeah.
cheese, and these
Yeah.
things that are really hurting them, and then they have no choice. So it's really
Yeah.
sad that we're not helping, and then the hospitals also. That
Oh, and the schools.
the schools, yeah, hospitals and schools. Like Dr. Melton Mills said, we're setting them up in school, and they come out and getting ready for stents. We're getting ready for heart disease. We're already developing the diabetes, right? And the schools are. It's really, really sad. So,
And
and it's
it's
a
just from what I understand, I just saw that in the United States under the WIC program, they're just now allowing them to use credits for plant-based milk. It was the only way they could use it before was with dairy.
oh my
So
God,
at least there's a little bit of a change,
yeah,
but
that's good.
it's
Yeah. No, I know. When I worked in a grocery store, I remember there was a lady and she had like a childcare. She ran a childcare and she would come in and buy all this, the food for the kids and then buy all this milk. And she said, I have to buy the milk. They make me buy this milk. And she would try to give it away to other people. And I don't think she was vegan, but the fact was she didn't want to give the kids that, you know? And so,
I can
but the,
tell you from about milk with kids. I'm sure you know this, but so many children have nowadays, they've got those tubes in their ears. They always get infections. They have all kinds of sinus problems. When you tell them it's the milk, people really push back, but I just ask them, just stop it for 3 weeks to a month. Just cut out the milk, see how much better the child is. Because the milk causes children are not meant to drink cow's milk. If they're going to have milk, have mama's milk, their own mama's milk, because that's why so many of them get sick. They're drinking milk far too long and the wrong kind of milk, like they should be drinking their own mother's breast milk whenever possible, of course.
I know, definitely. And that's what I'll tell people, like, would you drink a chimp's milk? And they'll say no. And I'll say, well, a chimp is closer to us than a cow. I mean, right? You're saying no to a chimp. And then why would you say yes to a cow? I mean, we've really been taught just a detrimental way of life, a way of eating. And we're paying the
Yeah.
price. I mean, with all these chronic diseases. And it's
Yeah,
sad.
things like autoimmune disease have gone through the roof. So many people have autoimmune disease, whether it's MS, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, all of these other things, because of the diet. It is absolutely connected to the gut, 100%.
And so what about the autoimmune diseases? Can you really turn those around if you,
Absolutely. I did. I'm
all
living
right.
proof
Yeah.
right
Which
here.
one? Oh, you said the rheumatoid arthritis, right? Yes. I
Yeah.
actually gave your information to my neighbor who is having, I don't know if she followed up on it or anything, but yeah, I mean, the rheumatoid arthritis. So, I mean, it's scary when we start to feel these pain. What's even scarier is not knowing that there is a solution.
Solution.
And then here we are spending millions and billions and trillions of dollars on cancer research, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, we don't have to have this. We brought this on ourselves. I mean, well, the food, and then we're spraying pesticides all over everything and ingesting that. And it's really sad. And now we're trapped in this belief of, oh my gosh, here comes cancer. What am I going to do? And we don't have the knowledge that we have control of it ourselves.
Yeah, we 100% do. Absolutely. And I can say along with the foods, the processed and poisoned foods, also the fact that we are being subjected to things like 5G. We know now there are studies showing that these things magnify the effects of the foods that we're eating, and people who are exposed to more EMF are much more likely. And they just came out with cell phones, a true study about how they can affect you. So, we're being attacked on all sides, from the food, from the spray, from the electromagnetic pollution, from air pollution like cars and all of those things. So it's a big issue, and we have a lot to unpack to try to get healthier generally. And when it comes to our brains, you can't have a healthy brain without a healthy body. So there you go.
Yeah, there's no disconnect from that. So that's good to know, definitely. So the more we feed our healthy bodies, it's feeding a healthy brain, and we can turn it around, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. In the case of dementia, later stage dementia and Alzheimer's, it's really, really hard because there's actual destruction of parts of the brain, and it takes a lot to try and get messages to go around the blocks. It can happen, but usually not when it's really late stage. So the idea is that we all need to be aware of this starting as young as possible. The sooner we get onto the idea of using whole, fresh whole foods as fresh as possible, without not processed so much, with true energy that is not full of pain and fear, then we have a better chance the sooner we start, because when it gets later, just like cancer, if you catch cancer in the first little while, you have a much better chance of defeating it, of healing 100%. But if you catch it later, it's much more difficult because it's affected so many things. The same with the brain. So we need to look after our brains from the beginning. I'm trying now to get more younger people working with me. I've always been working with people who are like 45 and older, but I realize that it really means we need to start much younger. We need to start with teenagers. We need to get them, because they're old enough then to start making those decisions on their own. Little kids, it's a little harder because they don't have the autonomy to be able to do that. But if we get younger people involved faster with whole foods, plant-based, and we make them aware of things like their gut. I have a great saying. My butterflies are wearing army boots when I'm not healthy, because my stomach, you can feel it. The gut microbiome reflects its activity in the butterflies in your stomach. People say butterflies, that's your gut microbiome reacting to stress and to fear and all those things. So I like people I try to bring it to people's attention by saying everything that we feel in our gut, that, and it's the reason gut feeling is so important, is because that's where everything starts.
Yeah, it does. You're right. And that's a great reminder. And let me ask, let me just say, Susan says, I have family in Keto. Is that right?
Keto. Yeah, that's in the north. And I love Keto. It's a beautiful city, very historical.
Another place for us to check out. So just tell us, well, we're coming to the end of the hour, but what would you recommend as the top brain foods for us?
Well, avocados are really good. I like them because they have healthy fats and lots of different nutrition. Any of the green leafy vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, those are anything like that, I would get started right away. And if you're going to eat anything that's processed, have it processed by being fermented, meaning kimchi, sauerkraut, those sorts of things. That's going to set you up right away to a healthier gut. Anything with a lot of fiber.
Definitely fiber. That's crucial. And we can tell if we're not eating fiber. we pay the price.
Most people aren't. If you're living this sad diet, you're not getting enough fiber.
And what's the impact of that long term?
Yeah, well, think about it. If the plumbing in your house kept getting stopped up and never actually got 100% cleaned out, what would happen? Everything would stop functioning. And same thing happens in people. If it gets clogged up, it impacts the pancreas, the liver, the brain, like everything. So that's the bottom. The bottom has to clean out first. And then everything else can detox and clean and stay healthy.
Wow. Well, this is really great information, Kate. And tell us again where we can get your book and where we can, if we have any questions, or you have a YouTube channel, please subscribe, everybody that's watching. And what about do you have a YouTube?
Yeah, just Kate Kunkel. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel, and also my website, which is where I have my own podcast. I have a lot of interviews with people as well. It's called brainhealthmatters.today is the website, brainhealthmatters.today. And you can reach out to me there. There's a contact form there. And I offer a free 1/2 hour consultation. If anybody's like really, really struggling and they don't know where to start, I'm here. Like, I want to help. It's just feel free. There's a link there in the website, brainhealthmatters.today. There's all kinds of information. The books are all there, and you can get all the information to help you start looking after that brain.
Yeah, we got to start now. It's not too late. That's the main thing I learned right here. It's not too late. We're starting to see issues with memory. Okay, that's a sign. That's your body saying, okay, time to eat better, right? And we have these signs all the time.
Be aware and listen to them. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Listen to your body. And yep, if we're feeling all bloated and everything, maybe I need to eat differently. Right. And also let me just say this, if you haven't eaten beans and you start eating beans a lot, it might take your body a while to get used to them. So don't give up on the beans.
No, little bits at a time, like anything else. When you exercise, you don't do 2 hours all at once the first time. You do 5 minutes. Same with beans, same with anything, even cruciferous vegetables. If you're not used to eating them, you need to start slow.
Right. Yes. Great advice. So, yeah, thank you so much, Kate. And thanks everybody for watching. You know, this has been very informative. If you have questions, if you're watching on the replay, please put the questions out, reach out to Kate, because we're here to help you all. We want you to make sure that you get the answers you need so you can have a healthy brain and body, and we can thrive at any age. We don't have to be going into our 50s and 60s with, you know, bottles and bottles of medicine. That's no way to live.
Yeah, I don't have one pill and I'm 65 years old. Nothing. Nada.
All right, there's the living proof. So yes. Thanks Susan and JJ and Kishana and everybody else watching. And I'm sorry, everyone in my group, for some reason this didn't go live, but that's all right. We got the YouTube replay, and please hit subscribe. And thank you, Kate, again. And blessings to everyone. And we'll do the Namaste Vegan. And Namaste Vegan, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.